Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Celebrity Intensive, where you will meet and gain insight from today's top talent that you see every day on TV. You will recognize our guest as Dez from Austin and Alley. Please welcome to the stage your host, the president of Premiere, Mr. Michael David.
Good morning, everyone. I said good morning, everyone. Thank you. I am very proud to have our guest here with us today. We have had so many tremendous celebrities from the Disney Channel here with us at Premiere. This program is our 13th program here at the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Resorts. I am so proud to have one of the most talented individuals from the Disney Channel here with us today. Not only was he a star on the Austin and Alley series for many years, but the Disney Channel also recognized the skill set of this young man and has given him so many opportunities. One of the series that he produced, called Copper Top Flop, was actually something I thought was really brilliant. And he has such experience and such insight as to how things work as a young performer, how to become successful in the industry, and sharing the knowledge of his experience here today for the youngsters that are here is absolutely priceless. Everyone, let's please welcome to the stage Calum Worthy.
Hello, Orlando. What's up? How's it going? This is awesome. Well, I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited to talk to Michael. I'm so excited to teach you guys some stuff and give you some advice and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm really excited.
Tell us a little bit about what it was like to audition for Austin and Alley.
There was a lot of sweating involved, a lot of panicking. No, it was it was a traditional auditioning process where I auditioned with a casting director. The interesting thing about this role is they didn't have any character description. They just said, he's crazy, just play him kind of crazy. Which usually when you have an audition, you have a character description that tells you what the character's like. This one had no description, so I was kind of going in there blind. And I just went in there with this weird Jim Carrey-esque kind of like wacky guy, and it seemed to really work, so then I got the callback.
Was it scripted or was it all improv?
It was scripted, but it was just monologues. There was no one else talking. There was just like 3-page monologues that never got on the show. It was just something they came up with, because it was a last-minute addition to the show. Everyone else had already been cast. And this was about 2 weeks before we actually went to start shooting.
So they realized that no one else was funny, and they needed a funny person.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think they just needed a redhead for diversity or something.
So you're on the series. You guys did that for years. Tell everybody what it's like to be a family on a series, because when you work with someone for that many years, you become family, right?
You do, yeah. I mean, it's really an incredible experience, and it's something that I'm actually very grateful for. It's actually the best part about filming this show was the family that we created. Like Ross and Rainey and Laura, the four of us have become this tight group, and we're now best friends, and we'll have this friendship forever. But not only that, but the crew as well. The two guys that created the show, Kevin and Heath, they've become some of my closest friends, and we're actually writing and producing some other stuff at the moment. And you really develop these friendships that are greater than just what the show is. You get these best friends for life because you're working together so much, and you're traveling every weekend together to go to mall signings and stuff like that. So you really become close.
I've never seen anyone on the Disney Channel be given the opportunities to be creative and funny like you. Your show, Copper Top Flop, was awesome. Your interviews were like hysterical. Tell us about the show and like what you really, how that kind of came about.
Well, the whole industry is changing so much. So I grew up on YouTube content when I was in middle school and high school. That's when YouTube started becoming really big, and I loved these online sketches. So I went to Disney and I said, could I make some sketches for you guys and create a sketch show? So they were hesitant at first because I was 21 at that point. and it seemed like a big undertaking at that age. So they said basically prove it. And actually, the funny reason how I got in there is because there's a big issue with some contractual stuff, and they wanted to bring everyone from in to talk about some stuff. And I lied and said I had a lot of issues with a contract or something, which I didn't have any issues. I just wanted to pitch them the show. But I was like, I bet I can get everyone in the same room if I say there's a really big problem. And I did. I got like the president, the vice president. I got everybody in there.
That is awesome.
And I was like, they're like, okay, so what's the problem? I was like, actually, there's no problem, but I do have a PowerPoint presentation. So I had the whole thing set up, and my best friend who helped me create the show, Derek Bainham, he was waiting in the waiting room, and I texted him like, all right, come now. So he walked in, and we really wanted to just create a sketch show. And when we were pitching it, they said, we'll prove it. So I invested my own money into making the pilot, and we made 4 episodes. And we just kind of filmed without any permission at the studio. There's one, I don't know if you guys have seen it, it's called The Suspender Wrangler. Have you guys seen that one? Yeah, I see some nodding heads. And that one we really shot. We just snuck onto the studio one day while they weren't filming, and we weren't filming, and we just filmed. And we didn't have any permission, and it was completely against the rules. And since then I learned that's actually not okay to do.
But you have obviously this entrepreneurial type of approach to your art, which is really amazing because you really believe. Like when I see you play these various characters on that show, I'm like, wow, this guy is like super funny. Who were some of your inspirations to do something like that? Like when you wanted to become a performer, you're looking at like sketch comedy. Who's your motivation?
I mean, I've always loved comedy, and growing up I did a lot of variety shows, so people like Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, Mike Myers, basically any Canadian comedian, because I'm Canadian. But yeah, those people really inspired me, and SNL, I love Saturday Night Live, and I loved Mad TV, and I love those shows, and I love that format, and also some of the newer guys, like Lonely Island. I think those guys are really creative and some really cool stuff that they're making.
Now, Canadian sketch comedy, like SCTV.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Huge.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Eugene Levy, some giants in the industry came from that era. Were you, growing up in Canada, were you watching any particular sitcoms, American sitcoms or Canadian sitcoms, that you felt inspired by and wanted to get in the business?
Actually, it was a fairly old show called Laugh-In that my mom had a lot of these VHS tapes of. And I used to watch Laugh-In all the time. And I thought that it was the funniest show when I was really little. And that was actually one of the main sketch shows that kind of inspired me to want to do sketch comedy. And then SNL. I loved SNL in the late 90s.
So have a seat. How old were you when you started acting professionally?
I was 42. I was kind of a late bloomer into the industry. No,
6 months ago.
It was 6 months ago. Yeah, it's been a lot. Lots happened. No, it was. I was 9 when I first started. Well, I first started when I was 4 on stage. My mom directs a lot of shows in the local community theater in Victoria, and after I was trying to get into film and TV after watching Home Alone, so I spent years doing extra work and having really bad agents and trying to figure something out, and nothing really worked until I was 9, and I went into this acting class that was a very professional type of class that had a lot of really great teachers and really great coaches, and they advised me to switch agents and get with this other agency. It was one of the bigger agencies, and they helped me get in the door. And so I auditioned for them, they took me on, and after that I just got a lot of auditions, and I just had a ton of auditions coming over and over again, and I booked my first role. I played a cannibal when I was like 10, and I ate Bill Pullman from Independence Day, so that was my first role, and then I just booked
You were a growing boy.
What was that?
You were a growing boy.
I was a growing boy, yeah, exactly, exactly. And I just kept auditioning and booking smaller roles. My first line on TV, I booked a bunch of roles, but I didn't have any lines in them. It was just silent on camera roles. My first line was actually in Cantonese, so I had to like speak Chinese in this show. So for a long time, I'd never spoken English on TV. It'd only been in Chinese. And then I lucked out. I booked this leading role in this BBC miniseries called I Was a Rat, and it was an amazing show. And I was like #1 on the call sheet, which is huge for a guy that didn't have that much behind him. And I was just turning 11 at that point, and that really helped to boost me a little bit. But of course, I felt like I was on top of the world because I was going to all these premieres and stuff like that. And then I didn't work for 2 years because it didn't actually necessarily lead to work. It just got me a little bit of notoriety, which I realized at that point those two aren't the same thing. And so I went 2 years without working, and then I just had to keep training and getting better and better and better and trying to book more roles.
What's a typical week like on a Disney series? So you do a table read like on a Monday? Is
Yeah,
that
well,
typical?
we do a table read on a Monday, and we get the script on the Friday. And so over the weekend, you really have to prepare it. Like some shows don't require you to prepare it as much. Our show, we basically tried to memorize the entire thing, so we were acting it out like a play. So we did that on Monday. Tuesday, we have a rehearsal, and then we do a run of the whole episode with the producers and writers of the show. And then on the Wednesday, the network comes in. So all the heads of all the Disney departments come in and watch it. And there's like 60, 70 people watching it, and it's crazy. It's really, really intense, especially because our show had so much music. We had so many people involved. So we do the run that day, and each day the script changes. So if they don't like some of the scenes on the Monday, it changes to the Tuesday. So sometimes the script that we get on the Thursday when we start shooting is completely different than the one we started off with on the Monday. And then Thursday we shoot just a normal shooting schedule where we shoot most of the scenes. And the next day on the Friday we have a live audience taping where we bring in a live audience and we get about 200 people coming in and they watch us do a live show performance of the show, and we record the whole thing.
Have they ever allowed the children who watch from the live audience get a chance to get an autograph from you or meet you? Or?
Yes, absolutely. Whenever we finish a live audience, we always kind of demanded that we'd stick around until every kid had a picture and autograph because we really believed in that. Because our fans are actually the reason why we got a 4th season of our show, because it was they weren't too sure if they're going to bring it back after the 3rd season. But there was so much outrage on Twitter that they might not do that they picked it up again. So it's really the fans that actually kept the show alive.
So how important do you think social media is to a young performer's career now? Because as you look at Twitter, for example, I think any young person who wants a career in this business has to be smart about what they're tweeting, has to be smart about what they put on their Instagram and how they present themselves, right? Because when you go to an audition, people are looking you up online.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's really key, especially now more than ever, that your social media presence is really positive and really represents who you are. I think it should be, depending on how old you are, it's better if it's your own and not necessarily a manager doing it, because that's what really it's all about. It's trying to have the fans connect with you and show casting directors and agents and producers who you are. And also, the more followers you have, it actually does make a difference. It's not the end of the world if you don't have a lot of followers, but it does make a big difference. I've noticed even in my life, when I first started with Disney Channel, I didn't have many followers at all. I had like 100 or something. And it took me a long time to gain them, even before Disney Channel, even though I'd done all these other shows. So don't worry if you don't have a lot, but I do think it's really good to work on it and really have a great social media presence. YouTube as well.
Yeah.
The YouTube market has become huge because this whole digital marketplace that have opened up in the industry has become huge. And if you're a youngster that really likes making their own content, I think that's a really smart idea, because so many stars are coming out of YouTube and Vine and Instagram that it's mind-blowing. And you think, oh, they weren't actually going to get these opportunities, but they actually are. And I think partly it's because they're taking their own initiative to actually make their own content. So a lot of people might say, like, oh, they're not real actors, but I think they actually are. They're making their own content, they're doing their own stuff, and I think that's really admirable.
I think it's the first time that anyone is really able to take their career and take charge of it. Because in the past, you would have to take classes, you'd have to get headshots, you'd have to get the ear of an agent to send you out on auditions to simply be noticed. And the internet and social media is really your way of doing something with that energy every single day. You're putting your presence out there, you're sending your message out there, and it's free, and it's something that really has tremendous impact. Followers. I think followers is a really good point that you just made. I think you're up to, what, 1 million followers on Twitter right now?
Just about, yeah, getting there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's had a huge impact. Like, I work a lot with some environmental organizations, and with having that kind of following, I just was able to make a bigger impact with certain things. Like, because of that, Al Gore and I are doing this whole social media campaign together coming up. So stuff like that, where we get these other people that have a huge following, you're able to team up with them. Along with the YouTube following and the creating your own content, I really think that's a valuable thing. For myself, with creating Copper Top, it's created a huge opportunities, so many opportunities for me, because they've seen me as someone that can actually create their own stuff. So since then I created this prank show called Just Kidding, and we're doing a bunch of stuff with DreamWorks TV, and now we're producing our own talk show for Disney Channel. And there's a lot of cool stuff that you get from doing that, because they see you in a different light. They see you as an equal rather than like just an actor kind of thing. And I mean, if you're very young, it's hard to create your own stuff, but I think it's never too early to start. I started making films just with my mom's VHS camera when I was like 8, 9, and 10, and it's actually the skills that I learned at a young age that I'm actually putting to use when making my own stuff.
So a lot of that's kind of misunderstood when a young person wants to do something creative and they want to, now, you children, you talk about video camera, you kids now have a phone. Like
Yeah.
you can literally make your own video on your own phone and upload that straight to YouTube, if that's what you wanted to do. And that has really changed the game for a lot of performers, because I know that before anyone who is cast into a project, now have you done casting for your shows?
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
been involved in the casting process?
Well, I was one of the writers in Auditioning for the 3rd and 4th season, so every episode that I had a major writing role in, I was one of the casting, I helped cast the role as well.
Because you're smart.
I don't know, I guess.
And you've got red hair.
Mostly because of the red hair. That's really good. That's really the key, guys. Just dye your hair red and you'll be fine.
So with that part of the process giving you that chance, because I sat here with Jason Earls, I think it was in December, and we were talking about the opportunities he was given post Hannah Montana and with Kickin' It. Do you see that as a trend for the performers on Disney Channel, like yourself and Jason kind of having a breakout opportunity and them looking for skill set from within happening more often?
Absolutely. Because I found that so many of us, we leave Disney Channel, and then there's this period where there was still such a huge role on Disney Channel, but we haven't transitioned into the next thing yet. So there's this weird in-between time. And so a lot of us have been realizing that we should start directing and writing and producing, because it's stuff that you can do off camera that doesn't rely on what your fans would like you to do or you fitting a certain role. It's just based on your merit. And that's a huge thing for us. So now Debbie Ryan has directed a lot of her episodes. She came to me because she was actually one of our guest stars on Copper Top.
Your interview with her was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually from that interview that she decided that she was going to really pursue that, because she talked to me. She's like, "I really want to start doing this." I'm like, "So we'll direct your own show. Like, do that." And since then, Rainey Rodriguez from our show, she started directing some of our episodes of Auditioning in this 4th season. And I think it has become a trend, and I think it's a really positive trend. And I think it's actually a trend over the entire industry, because people are realizing, with, as you say, with making a movie on your phone being so easy, that you actually can create your own content, and it's actually not that difficult to do it. So just start now. Like, I really advise all of you to start now, because it's such a huge asset.
How did the transition happen for you from 100 followers to 1 million followers on Twitter?
It kind of happened really quickly, and then it plateaued for a while, and then happened really quickly again. It happened, I didn't really know what my groove was, because I didn't really know who I was in terms of my presence. When I first started Disney Channel, I was actually, I think a lot of people do this because they're, get a little egotistical. You want to be like the cool guy. Realized that wasn't really who I am, and so I kind of transitioned into just being more genuine and stopped trying to do what I think people would want me to say, but just to be who I really am. And that changed the entire game. I started being really silly and kind of not really taking anything seriously, and that's actually really helped out in a weird way. So actually acting more honest has actually really helped me in that way. I remember when the show first started, I had 100 followers, and I immediately, after the show premiered, I got to 2,000 followers like the next day. So this crazy transition. And then by like a month or two later, I had like 20 or 30,000 followers, and then I kind of plateaued for a little while, and then recently, it was like a year ago, I had like 500,000 followers, and now I'm at almost 1 million. So this last year has been a huge year.
How have you dealt with the success of the show and the shows that you've been on and created? How does that change a young person's life? Talk about some of the challenges that you had, things you did right, things you did wrong.
For a while, I think I got a little bit egotistical. I think a lot of people do that if you get like a little bit of success. You get a little bit of an ego behind you. Maybe no one noticed, but I think I kind of did. And I think that's normal, because I think you kind of feel like you're special. Now I realize that you're not necessarily special, you're just doing a job. And your job ends up being one that you have fans, and that they come up to you and you might seem special, but you're actually just normal, just like everybody else. There's no difference. It's just part of what your job requires. And I think the biggest thing is our cast has just always been so humble, because we've never really taken anything too seriously. So whenever we've gone to malls or whatever, we get like mobs, we're always just like, oh, well, whatever, this is fun. Like, we never really took it that seriously. And we always kind of just brush it off like it was just part of the job, and it's just kind of part of what we do. And I think that is really important to maintain that and never get too egotistical, because I think your ego is what gets in the way of your creativity and your success as an actor. That's like, the ego is like one of the biggest killers of a career. So very quickly, all of us realized, okay, let's get that ego away and let's just really focus on doing something really genuine and doing something really positive for the fans and really make it about the fans.
Did you guys ever have any guidance from Disney Channel to say, okay, this is how you should conduct yourself in an interview and this is how PR should go?
Yeah, we had Disney Channel 101, which is this like training program they have for a week where you deal with interviews on red carpets and you deal with like the rules, like you can't do certain things in public because you have to be a role model for kids. And
Yeah, and part of it is you have to speak with a weird voice.
that's a big part of it. And it's they really kind of teach you how to act, like how to act when there's paparazzi, how to act when there's like a TMZ comes up to you, how to act with fans. Like one of our rules is we always take pictures with every fan. Whenever there's a bunch of fans coming up, no matter what you have to do that day, the fans are the most important thing because they're what's keeping your career alive, and that's really the key.
I think that it's really challenging, and it's great to be a role model for young kids. I know that there are so many children that love Austin and Ally and love the impact, because you're not only impacting the children and their lives, but every parent in this room has seen probably every Austin and Ally episode.
And I'm so sorry, by the way.
Yes.
I know you'd rather watch sports. I apologize.
So that has become sort of family television now. Disney Channel has become that. You know, we don't have Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley. We have the Disney Channel. So when you're impacting parents, how do the parents come at you at these signings? Do the moms and the dads have the same reaction as or dads try to play it cool and mom's like, "Oh my God, it's you!"
They do, yeah. It's really funny. It's the parents are like the whole fan base has been amazing. I can honestly say I've had like one or two negative experiences, but it's usually with like paparazzi. It's not with fans. Fans have always been amazing, and I think it's just because it's such a positive show that it just makes people happy, which is so cool. One of the coolest parts, actually, is we do a lot of stuff, a lot of work with Make-A-Wish, and we do a lot of stuff to visit kids in children's hospitals and stuff like that, and that's been one of the coolest things. This last season, actually, we had about a kid from the Make-A-Wish program come to our set every 2 days. So they spent the entire day with us and hung out with us and hung out in our dressing rooms, and that was the coolest part about the last season, was just having that impact and having those fans come to our set.
Do you guys get a chance to have creative input on, you mentioned writing. How much are you, is it kind of like a Saturday Night Live type of sketch approach where you pitch ideas and everyone kind of sits around and says, okay, I think that's funny or that's not funny?
It all depends on who your showrunners are. Some people, some showrunners are really, they like to stick to what they've written and they don't like any input. But our showrunners are very
Is that ego?
collaborative. Probably it's an ego thing, and I think it's always good to be collaborative because I think it's just good to listen to all the ideas. You don't have to take all the ideas, but I think it's good to have that open communication. Our show had that completely, and one of the reasons why Rainey started directing is because she started having amazing ideas and giving them to the directors, and the directors were like, "She's really good. She actually knows what she's doing." And as a writer, I used to, before I actually got hired as a writer, I used to sit in the writer's room for weeks on end and not say anything. And then I remember pitching one joke, and it was like this weird joke where I'm like, I don't know if you guys probably don't remember it, but I'm like, I said something like, oh, I love making bird calls. One sec. And I like phone the Miami Zoo. I'm like, hello, Miami Zoo. Caw-caw. And it's like it's a stupid joke, but I pitched it, and that was the first joke I had written that actually got on TV. And that was amazing. It was like the coolest thing ever. And the funny thing was the joke wasn't that funny and not many people laughed, but I thought it was like the coolest thing that ever happened to me. And because of that input, that's kind of how I became one of the writers in the show.
Now, do you join the Writers Guild at that point?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And as far as your future in the industry and where you see television going, because we've seen the whole birth of Disney Channel funny sitcom success. We've seen you go through your success. Where do you think things are going?
I think everything's going digital. I think the traditional, watching TV in a traditional way is kind of going out the window, and it's becoming a more, digital format where people can kind of choose what they want when they want it, because people don't like to stick to a schedule anymore, which I think is actually amazing. So what it's done is it's created so many new networks. We already have like hundreds of networks out there, but now there's all these digital networks that are doing really, really cool programming. And there's also these opportunities for people to do branded content online that are in short form content. So like people, if you like have your own YouTube channel, you can get Colgate to sponsor you to make your own YouTube content if you have a lot of followers and stuff like that. And the money's actually really good. It's actually on par with TV money, which is insane. And so I'm actually really excited about where the industry's going. I think it's the most exciting time for people that are young in the industry. Like all of you guys sitting here, like I think this is the best time for you to be getting into the industry, because there's so much opportunity and there's so much impact that you can have on the industry right from your bedroom.
Which is really neat. So basically, you're limited by your own creativity because you have the social platforms to do that. Do you see yourself doing film? Do you see yourself kind of going in that direction, or do you like television?
I just like storytelling. I like storytelling in any form. I love doing sketch. I love telling a story in a quick 2.5 minute video. I love doing half hour. I love doing features as well. I do love comedy though, because I love the impact that it has on people. I love the reaction that people have to it, and I love writing comedy. I love the beats and I love mapping it out.
The music of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The actors that would come visit Austin and Ally. I had spoken to Peyton and to Sky about Michelle Obama, Ben Affleck coming to visit the set. Did you have anyone come visit Austin and Ally that you were like, wow, I really like that person?
Yeah, well, Ben Affleck came to our set and Jennifer Garner both popped in, and it was funny because their kids were running around our dressing rooms, and they ran into my dressing room, and we didn't know they were on our set or on our stage, and these kids came in. I was like, oh, what's up? How are you guys? And they were like 5 and 6. And then suddenly Ben Affleck came running in. I was like, wait, are you? He's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? He's like, dude, Copper Top, I love that show, man. I'm like, oh my God, Ben Affleck likes the show I created. This is crazy. And that was really cool because it was kind of a
Batman.
I know. I was like, it was insane. But it has been really cool. I mean, yeah, they came. Who else came by? Gwyneth Paltrow popped in, and that was really funny. Raven Simone came by a little while ago. We've had a lot of cool people. Kevin James came by.
Do you think it's because their kids are such fans of your show that they feel a connection to you guys?
Yes, I think so. I think so. I think it's actually funny because I've found a lot of parents, even like celebrity parents, they actually watch our show more than any other show because they have to because of their kids. And that's actually one of the coolest things that I never thought about with Disney. I always thought, oh, we might get pigeonholed with Disney because I don't know if people outside of kids would actually watch the show, but it turns out it's the complete opposite. Like even Al Gore watched the show all the time, and it's really funny to hear. Actually, I heard the Obamas like watch the show religiously, which is crazy.
Al Gore. I'm hanging out with Al Gore. I mean, that's like crazy. So to talk about meeting him, and so the connection between you guys is for a social cause, and you're connected through social media as a united front.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how it worked is we were nominated for a Kids' Choice Award, which we actually won all the TV Kids' Choice Awards this year, which was crazy. And when I went there, it was actually Earth Hour that night. So I felt bad that I wasn't going to be celebrating Earth Hour. I was going to be in this building with tons of lights up and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, how can I make a difference? So I wore an Earth Hour T-shirt, and it was the logo of his organization. And from that, he sent me a tweet being like, dude, thank you so much for wearing the shirt. I was like, did Al Gore just tweet me? And then he flew me to Ohio and just had me hang out with him for a week, and we talked about stuff, and it was like the coolest week of my life because I'm a huge Al Gore fan.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So what was it like transitioning and coming from, I guess, British Columbia?
Yeah.
To what, Los Angeles? Straight to Los? Okay. How old were you, and what was that like? Because that's a big difference. It's
a big difference. So in Victoria, we're really close to Vancouver, which has a really big film industry because there's a lot of tax credits that are up there that films and TV shows from the States come up there all the time. So I've been working out of there for years, and I had about 50 credits at that point, and I was about 18. But I had been coming down to LA a lot because I had an LA agent at about 13. So I'd been auditioning for certain things or coming down for a week or two at a time and popping in for callbacks and stuff like that. And the biggest problem for me is I wasn't American, so I didn't have a visa. And that's a huge, huge problem. Luckily, you guys don't have that problem, so you can go back and forth to LA as much as you want. And then I was 19 and decided to go down for pilot season, which doesn't really exist anymore. It used to be that during pilot season there was like this 3-month window where all the pilots are cast. Now the pilots are cast year round, and there's not really a specific time to go to LA. It's kind of all over the place. There is kind of a pilot season, but it's more spread out.
Do you think technology, YouTube, to your point, changed that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because now the TV season doesn't matter as much. People binge watch everything, so instead of knowing that your new show is going to start coming out in September, people think, oh, I'll start watching it in March or August or whenever they have a weekend off. They just watch the entire show. So that's changed the entire schedule for the film industry. So I started coming down a lot for callbacks and auditions, and I never booked anything when I did that.
Is it because you had red hair?
Mostly because of the red hair. It's really been a positive and negative thing. And so I went down when I was 19, and I went down for 6 weeks, and I just really liked it. I just really liked being there. So I got a visa, and a couple weeks later, I booked a pilot on CMT. And I thought, oh, this is crazy. My life's going to change. I finally booked an LA pilot. And it didn't get picked up. We're on hold for like 8 months. But the week after I got let off my contract was the week I got cast on Austin Alley. So if they had picked it up or had just held me for another month, which they kept doing all the time, I wouldn't have been able to do Austin Alley. So it's really weird how everything happens for a reason. And there's been so many times that I've been so close to getting roles that I've thought, oh, that would change my life. And the reality is not one role never changes your life. It's your body of work over your lifetime and your whole career. So if you ever are up for a role and you think, oh, this is it, this is what's going to change everything, it could help you a lot, but it's not going to change everything because your whole career changes everything. That's the bigger picture.
I think you touched on something really important, which is patience.
Yes.
Almost impossible to have.
It's really tough. And I think you really have to love it, and you really have to love the whole industry. You have to love auditioning. You have to love the whole process, because even once you become successful, and I have friends that have become wildly successful, you still audition for roles. Meryl Streep had an interview recently where she said she auditioned for a role recently, and she's won like 75,000 Oscars. And it's crazy how you still have these people that are so huge but have to audition for roles because people want to know if you're right for the role or not. So it never ends. So I think the key is to really love being in the industry and love being a performer and a storyteller and love the whole process.
And I think you touched on giving back, too. I think giving back is really important because when you take the ego out of it, like you were saying, and you're able to give back, it completes you as a person. Mm-hmm. And it allows you to reach in and help other people on their way. And that's the big reason why you're here today, is to help the young people and the parents understand the industry and help them on their way.
Yeah.
Guys, let's thank Calum for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you very much, my man.
I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. It should be a fun week.
It will be.
Yeah.
So Nathan will get everyone into groups and get Calum seen. Thanks again,
Cool.
young man.
Thank you so much.